Everything you need to know about all 39 shop items in R.E.P.O, including which ones to buy and which to avoid. Let's start by going over the more learning curve based ones with the drones. First, we have the Zero Gravity Drone for 24k. This one is actually very useful, but for the price it's not the best of these. You can attach to items or players and enemies. When attached to life forms, all of these drones drain insanely fast. Most of the drones are best to use to move items as the charge lasts significantly longer. You can try to attach it to an enemy and get them to launch themselves up, and once the charge runs out, they will take fall damage on the way down, but you kind of waste the entire drone on a one-time use, so it's really not worth it. With items, you do want to be careful not to toss them too high or they will stay up since they do have zero gravity, and by the time they fall down, unless you catch it, it will take damage. Next, we have the Feather Drone for 16k. This is one of the best items in the shop. If you are playing solo, this and the Low Gravity Drone are the best items you can get, especially before you are able to upgrade strength. It makes things as light as a feather, allowing you to move any item with ease. This is just like the Zero Gravity Drone, but this one is a bit better and cheaper. Again, works on life forms, but the charge will drain insanely fast. You might want to pair this with the next drone, which is one of the best items in the game, and that is the Indestructible Drone for 28k. When attached to items, you can move them worry-free as they will not break or lose any value. This is a priority when playing with friends since you can lift heavier items anyway and don't need to rely on the Feather Drone or the Zero Gravity Drone. Even when solo, once you have enough strength, you won't need the Feather Drone anymore and you can just use the Indestructible Drone. And if you worry about running out of charge and not being near the truck, worry no more. For just 4 to 5k, you can get a recharge drone, allowing you to charge anything on the go. This is great value since it is very cheap and it allows you to have a longer use on something like the Feather or Indestructible Drone. Can also be used to recharge any weapons you may want to. Also, just a quick tip, save these drones for bigger and more valuable items. Don't waste all this charge on a $5 cup. And finally, we have the Roll Drone for about 9 to 11k. And I think this is one of the worst items in the shop. How it works is that items attached will roll towards you and enemies will roll away from you. Not that useful with items since they will take damage when rolling. For enemies, it could send them away, buying you some time, or maybe you can even drop them into a pit, killing them. But again, just like the other drones, the battery will drain very fast, making it only a one-time use even for enemies, and since it's not very useful for items, it's really just not very useful. Next, let's go over some of the throwables. There are many types of grenades, the first one being the regular grenade for 3k. This is actually pretty good for the price. You can hover it next to an enemy, press E, drop it, then run away. It deals 160 damage and can take out a few enemies with just one. Then we have the Human Grenade, which is just a slightly weaker version of the regular grenade. This one ranges from 2 to 8k. To find this one, you have to open and get into the secret room in the shop. As you see I'm doing here, you can open this hatch, and once you have it open, you might have to stack something and jump into it and press Q. If you are playing with friends, you can press Q and have them carry you into that room. It's pretty hard to get into solo unless you can stack some carts to jump on top of. Up here, you may also find the Duct-Taped Grenade. This item ranges from 3 to 10k. It has an initial small explosion that spreads 3 human grenades. This one is great, but is also very dangerous for your entire team, so be careful. I just learned when you throw a regular grenade, it only does damage to enemies, but when you throw a human grenade or a duct tape grenade, this one does damage to both enemies and players. Stun Grenade does what it says. This one costs 3k from the shop. It won't do damage itself, but it will temporarily stun enemies for up to 15 seconds. This will allow you to hit them with another weapon or item. You can use an actual weapon or a durable value item when they are knocked. The Shockwave Grenade basically has just insane knockback and will launch enemies or players far across or just hard into a wall, dealing some damage. Best to use something like this near a pit to try and get an enemy to launch into it. Then we have the Rubber Duck for 16 to 20k. This will explode after bouncing a few times, dealing up to 250 damage. This one isn't great for the price and the difficulty to use. It's really just a troll in my opinion, but throwing around once in a while to see what happens might be fun. I guess we can also include the Zero Gravity Orb for 44 to 46k. This is one of the worst items in the game. It has a very niche use and most of the time isn't practical, especially when items like the Zero Gravity Drone and Feather Drone do exist. It's not very useful, especially for the price. I would recommend buying almost anything else. Now for the mines, we have 3. The first one is the Stun Mine for 3k. When an enemy or a player triggers it, it will start flying into them, hitting them with electricity and stunning them, dealing 5 damage per hit. This one is visually very funny and can be pretty useful as a stun. Be careful when trying to hit an enemy being attacked by this because this trap can start stunning you. Next we have the Shockwave Mine, which will basically just launch whoever walks into it. It deals no damage, but they can take damage if they hit a wall or the ground hard enough, just like the Shockwave Grenade we mentioned earlier. Then we have the Explosive Mine for 3 to 9k. When an enemy triggers this one, deals up to 200 damage. Very useful for taking out enemies, just try to get out of range so you don't take damage. Also, quick tip with mines, if you arm them, you can pick them back up. You do just have to be very quick, grab them, quickly press a number key, 1, 2, or 3, and store them and disarm it. You can also grab it and quickly press E to also disarm it. Now for upgrades, these are kind of hard to rank by usefulness, but just depends on how you play. But I usually start by going for health upgrade first for 6 to 8k. I just want to get that extra health to get me over 100. The blind shooter is the one who always catches me lacking the most, and one shot deals 100 health, so it makes sense to get above 100 health and survive one shot. Almost feels like it gives you an extra chance. Next would be strength upgrade for 6 to 8k. This should take priority if playing solo as well, but just overall nice to lift items and potentially even knocked enemies easier. Then of course stamina upgrade for 2k, upgrading stamina by 10. The best part about this one is its low cost, but running out of stamina is pretty annoying, so upgrade it when you see it. I did just realize that the prices that I am saying are only for the early levels. As you progress through the game, the price of everything does go up, so just keep that in mind. Sprint speed upgrade for 6 to 8k increases speed by 20%. It is also useful, but I would prioritize the others. Extra jump upgrade for 12k can be a great emergency valve. If you almost fall off the map, it might save your life. It can also be used to get to hard to reach places as well. When you're well equipped and have the cash, grab one of these. Then we have the range upgrade for 6 to 8k. This can actually be very useful, especially when trying to use an explosive to hit an enemy, or trying to grab an enemy but being able to keep a distance can be pretty useful. The tumble launch upgrade ranges from 4 to 8k. This increases the tumble launch strength. I find it very hard to accurately tumble launch into something, so for that reason I rarely do it, and therefore I will rarely ever buy this. There is also the map player count upgrade for 10 to 12k, which kind of sounds confusing, but know that it doesn't increase the player count on the actual map. It adds a living player counter to the map whenever you press tab. You can see how many people are left alive in the map. Of course, when you are solo, it only will say 1. So whoever purchases this can see how many people are still alive in the map. Obviously, this is only useful in multiplayer and whoever bought it. Unfortunately, when you buy it, it does not go to everyone. We have the small 25 HP health packs for 3 to 6k, medium 50 HP health pack for 6 to 11k. The large health pack for 100 HP ranges from 9 to 16k. Let me quickly go over some of the miscellaneous items before I show you the weapons and which ones you should buy and avoid. First, we have the extraction tracker for 5 to 7k. Does what it says, it helps you find the extractions. It's overall not great as you will find these naturally, but might be a little bit helpful. Maybe if you're playing with a bunch of friends, one of you should get this. Then we have the valuable tracker for 15k. This would be most useful towards the end of a round when maybe you've broken some items and you need just a few more to hit quota. This will help you find the last few lingering items, as sometimes they can be in sneaky places. I myself don't ever feel like I've needed it, so I would not buy it, but if you feel like you struggle to find items sometimes, maybe this is for you. Then we have the energy crystal for 7 to 9k, which I use to fill up the bar in the truck, and then you can stick items in the box to repair them after use. You are able to repair both drones and weapons. The pocket cart can be purchased for 17 to 18k. As the title says, it literally fits in your pocket. You can store it in one of your 3 slots if they are free. It really can't hold much, and I'm not sure what its whole purpose is. Maybe have someone just carry the extra cash in here, or if there's an item that they can't carry by themselves, they can put it in here like a vase. But unless you have multiple people and for some reason one of them wants to drive the little cart, this isn't great and I don't think it's worth buying. You can purchase another regular cart for about 41 to 45k. This is useful when you have multiple players and others might want to have their own cart to go their own way. Or if you feel like you might have dropped a cart or two and want to have an extra one for insurance, maybe buy one for that case, but I feel like it's kind of just a waste of money. Regardless, even if you're playing with friends or solo, I feel like you shouldn't really be buying this. Instead, prioritize buying upgrades or drones. Another important tip, know that anything that you leave behind will respawn in the truck, whether it's a cart, a drone, a weapon. Anything that may break or is just left behind will respawn in the car whenever you leave. The only items that do not are throwables, and you do not get the charge back whenever you leave. You will have to recharge them yourself. Next, we'll go over the weapons in my order of preference. First, we have the Inflatable Hammer for 9k, which seems pretty useless, doing about 3 damage per hit, but has about a 5% chance to trigger an explosion, dealing 250 damage. So it's a gamble, and better hope it really hits when you need it most. Overall, not great, especially because it only really does damage 5% of the time, and will only serve to get you in range to get killed the other 95% of the time when it doesn't explode. What I do like about it is that the explosion does not do damage to you. It does have a little bit of a knockback, so look out for that. Next, we have the Frying Pan for 24 to 27k. Doesn't do much damage, but can knock little enemies over, which would really be its only use against small enemies, which is why it's overall not the best and belongs as the second worst option, especially because you can use almost any item as a weapon just as effectively. Then we have the sword. This is pretty good and deals 50 damage per hit. All of these melee weapons do take some practice to use. One tech method I've seen is bringing out the weapon while swiping to get a hit, then restoring the weapon. It's really hard to time, especially with the heavier ones. This is probably the easiest one to use. The sword is okay, especially for low health enemies, but still not great and will get you killed against bigger enemies since they don't fall over. Next, we have the gun, aka the pistol. This one has 6 shots before needing recharge, can be purchased for 41 to 44k, and deals 100 damage when it does hit. The issue is that it doesn't hit. Unless you are point blank, and even then sometimes it still doesn't hit. It is possible that it does save your life, and 100 damage is pretty good per shot, but I would honestly avoid buying this due to the high cost and inaccuracies. So far, personally, I would take attribute upgrades over these weapons I've mentioned. The Sledgehammer is debatable for me. It's pretty expensive at 41 to 47k, and while it deals a whopping 150 damage and can knock down some bigger enemies, it only deals about 5 hits before needing a recharge, and it's a bit heavy and hard to swing. So until you're able to train and get it down, you will probably miss a lot. But if you can land, this is a great weapon and worth buying. Then we have another melee weapon with the baseball bat for 25 to 29k. Why I have this one up here, even above a gun, is because of its knockback. This weapon will send enemies flying and deal more damage when they hit a wall or the floor. If you can hit an enemy at a downward angle, this will do some damage and they will take damage from the hit, the initial bounce, and then again once they land. The stun ability with this one is what makes it so great, and just landing once will save your life, unlike some of these other ones. Still takes practice to use, but one of the most effective in the game, especially for the price. Next up, we have the shotgun for 74 to 97k, and even though it is so expensive, this is probably the easiest and most powerful weapon. Firing a total of 5 pellets, dealing 50 damage per hit. If you get close enough, you can do 250 damage from the gun, with additional damage from the enemy flying. If you have the money, this is a solid buy since it's so strong and so easy to use. Only issue is that it only has 3 shots before needing to recharge. Then we have one of the best bang for your buck options as a weapon and just an item overall, which is the Tranquilizer Gun for 15 to 18k. This has 3 shots before needing a recharge and can stun enemies for 15 seconds. The best part isn't just taking an enemy out for 15 seconds, but picking them up and tossing them into a pit, or repeatedly picking them up and slamming the enemy until they die. You will need enough strength or a team to be able to do this, so just keep that in mind. So this one is very powerful and even better once you have the strength to actually lift enemies. There was a bug here. I am using mods throughout this video, but a bug did trigger whenever I did charge the tranquilizer drone. I slightly charged it a little bit and it gave it a little bit of health and I was able to shoot it infinitely. So kind of boring to take advantage of, but if you want to, that's there. I'll be working on a video going over all the monsters and the best ways to take them out. So make sure to subscribe for that and also more helpful repo content like this. And until next time, love ya, see ya.